Hi everybody, Charlotte here. So you might notice a couple things right off the bat. My room's a mess. I'm reorganizing. Sorry. I don't know if you guys knew about the blue hair faded to green. Wrong ear. New piercing. It's a spider. It's cool. Got a new light. Still trying to figure it out. I'm all washed out. Um, Sorry there hasn't been a video in a while. I have been working like 56 hours a week. So I'm a little bit burnt out and I really don't have a whole bunch of time to really do anything other than work and sleep. This is something that I really need to talk about though. Now, I haven't made a video on the Black Lives Matter movement and the defunding the police and all these other crazy important things that are going on right now because hundreds of people have said it way better than I could possibly say it. And I don't think I could make a video that would do any sort of justice to these incredibly important topics. If you follow me on Twitter, I'm retweeting every goddamn thing there is about it because it's important. Same thing with my personal Instagram, but none of you really know about that. So another new thing, I have a page Instagram. It's mostly just for the mini painting and updates on different projects that I'm working on, works in progresses, updating you about games that I'm playing, all that jazz. Currently it's only minis though. So you'll get to see stuff that you don't see in videos. Same thing with up on the Patreon. Not as good as posting on there, and I really should be. Thank you, Talon, my singular Patreon or patron, for sticking around. I appreciate you a lot. All of that aside, on to the meat of this video. Why Wizards of the Coast sucks, but why I'm also sticking with D&D. If any of you are really involved in the more progressive and marginalized communities that are within the D&D community on Twitter, but mostly Twitter, but anywhere really, you've probably heard all of this stuff about Wizards of the Coast and D&D. Now, people like myself and people in other marginalized communities, whether they're in the queer community, whether they're Black, Indigenous, Native, a person of color, whether they're Romani or any sort of religion, intellectually or physically disabled, all of these people have been retconning and fixing and rewriting and adjusting shit in D&D for years. Ever since I started playing 5e, which was when the PHB came out, not the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. I think that came out before the PHB. I think I might be foggy on that. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So not that early, but when the core stuff came out for 5e. Because there's no queer rep. There's not a whole lot of solid, like, BIPOC rep. There's little to no disabled rep, let alone any good stuff. There's all sorts of garbage stereotypes, like the tabaxi, which are blatant, like, Native American stereotypes, which is garbage. And you have, like, I think her name is, oh god, I'm gonna feel so bad because I adore her. There's, like, one disabled character, and she's in Curse of Strahd. God, I'm blanking on her name. I'm gonna feel real bad about it. She lost a limb, and she has a prosthetic limb, but she hides it. And that's a great thing. It's great. The singular one good disabled character hides it and is ashamed of it. Great writing. You have Tomb of Annihilation, which is like the colonizer's dream. You go into an like a hostile, unknown place, and you hack and slash through temples, and you take relics, and you kill magic, and you save the people. Like, come on, y'all, you can do better than that. And then there's the stuff in Volo's Guide, where, like, you have the big, beefy orcs who, because of their god, murder and only murder, and fight and kill, which is redundant, but still, and they can't be. They get a negative to being smart, and they get a shit ton of stuff to strength. And the bit about how even educated and like well-raised orcs will always have their animalistic killer instinct. Like, God, like these I'm hoping y'all understand the similarities between that and some caricatures, like really racist shit from all over the world through a lot of time. There's a lot of problems with D&D. That being said, these communities have been fixing and adjusting and just dealing with it. They've been fixing the lore, they've been fixing mechanics, they've been adjusting things. We have for a very long time. More recently, however, Wizards of the Coast externally, however, have been claiming they've been moving towards fixing this stuff. They've been fixing a lot of the garbage, like the horrible Romani stereotypes of the I literally played Curse of Strahd like 3 years ago. They have stereotypes of the Romani people. The gypsies, which is a horrible slur. Don't use it. It's just to give you an idea of the stereotype they're portraying of the Romani people with the Vistani in Curse of Strahd. And that sucks. And there's all of these problems that they're talking about fixing and repairing things and giving optional rules so that there's like thematic reasons and ways to pick ability score increases. Because, like, for example, stuff that's biology based kind of makes sense. So between species, well, they're technically not species because they can interbreed, which makes them a race of a large species, which would be humanoids. Genetics, it's weird. If a dwarf has, biologically speaking, a stronger stomach, kind of makes sense to be resistant to poison. That's a good, cool mechanical thing. But making every and all dwarves good with constitution, making all orcs dumb, making everybody everything, kind of really takes out, like, it feels the person out. I feel like it takes a lot of personality out. To deal with that, people like Gabe James Games, I think, I'm going to link his stuff in the description because it's beautiful. He has this really great alternative where you pick like what you've prioritized for stuff that'll be good for your class. And for me personally, I do like thematic reasons. So it's kind of like point buy. You roll stats and you get +3 total. You can only add 2 to anything. And you can get more points if you subtract from other scores if you give good reasons. And -2. So if you're somebody who's, like, if you want to be dexterous for your thing, so you stretch every day and you put a +1 in dex just to give your character some more, like, fun to it. Or if you give yourself a +2 in intelligence because you study a lot and you work really, really hard, that's a really cool thing and it fleshes out characters. So I like doing it that way. Short end of that is we've been fixing this stuff for a very, very long time. And for a long time, a lot of us were really content with just fixing it and asking wizards to fix their stuff. I don't know if any of you are up to date on this, but Mike Merles is not a good dude. There was somebody employed by Wizards of the Coast who was a known and repeated abuser. He was abusing people in the relationships he was in and at cons and all sorts of stuff, and he was not a good guy. Really not. And then what happened was Wizards of the Coast, at least they said they did, cut ties with him. Stopped giving him money, just pushed him out of the equation. Good. Then what happened was Mike Merles told the guy who was doing all of this abusing who at Wizards and who he knew that spoke out against him. If you don't see the problem with that, you really should, because that's a really quick way to get those people hurt or worse. Not a good thing. He also went on to other things and mocked them and did all sorts of garbage things. And Wizards, after a lot of backlash for Merle's actions and a lot of other slights, honestly, they fired him. At least that's what they said. Instead, what they did was moved him to another project out of the public eye, and then pretty recently, once they thought everybody was over it, they moved him back into D&D. Hence the hashtag on Twitter, #FireMikeMerles, because he sucks, and they shouldn't be giving him money. And I understand fully that there may be contracts or legally binding things. They don't want to get sued. Take the hit. Don't employ that bad of a person. It's not safe for the community you're building. But the reason why Wizards of the Coast sucks, other than that, besides all of this, like, a lot of you might be thinking, okay, cool. They're fixing D&D. Whatever. They're adjusting things. They're finally doing the right thing. Every time they talk about it, it's using really vague PR terms. We intend to do this. They're not making any promises. They're just trying to clear the waters. That, and they keep on going on and on about inclusivity and community building and anti-harassment and anti-bullying, and then let all of these people on this page bully and harass everybody that's like, oh, thank you for finally fixing this. It's a problem. They're not managing their own community. Which, if you're that big and it's this big of a thing where people interact this directly, you really should be. But that is the least of the problems, because Wizards has a very bad history of a lot of internal corporate bullshit. If you look up Orion Black on Twitter, there's a whole slew of things. If I can find the thread, I will link it. If I remember to when I make this. I'm kind of fried from work. Essentially, a lot of people are hired purely for diversity. They're underpaid. They basically take their ideas without actually letting them have any valid or important input. There's just a very long history of internal corporate homophobia and sexism and racism and just generally a bunch of garbage. Because initially when I started out doing stuff like this, my goal was to work at Wizards of the Coast. Because if they hire me and what I've done, I can maybe bring good things to the table and fix this community. Or like fix D&D. Help make this a good thing for everybody. Not anymore. Basically, it's a really garbage place to work, unless you're the top dogs. They actively do not hire people that have spoken out about the garbage that they do. They fire people for all of these things. Like if somebody interacts or follows somebody or likes something on Twitter that talks about how Wizards needs better rep, they get basically punished for it. It's kind of a bunch of garbage. They're not somebody that I want to be giving any money. Whether that's through doing stuff on DM's Guild or Drive-Thru RPG or just buying anything from them. So the real thing after all of that, do with it what you will, is what does that mean for this channel? Not much. This channel is Tabletop Roleplaying Gays. I work for inclusivity and rep for anybody and everybody that needs it. I work for properly implemented consent tools and well-made games and good people to have their good work boosted. I play games, I make games, I paint stuff, I help you paint stuff. That's the whole thing. This isn't a D&D channel. That being said, I am still doing D&D on this channel. Now, that might not really jive in everybody's brains with how much I just said D&D can kind of go suck it, and how much Wizards of the Coast is a hot flaming pile of garbage, save for a few solid people here and there. The reason being is because if all of the people that have worked so hard to adjust and fix and tailor and make sure that people that come to D&D have good consent tools and it's understood, and like people having a good solid experience because of the work they've done, if all those people leave, you're leaving D&D in the hands of the people that kind of suck. The people that are on D&D yelling about identity politics and how they created a fake problem just to be woke. No. These are lots of garbage issues that really affect a lot of people in real life, and perpetuating them isn't a great idea. We should acknowledge them, fix them, and move on, and always strive to be better, and actively work to be better. Those people. The reason I'm sticking around is because if somebody new wants to play D&D and they don't know about any of that stuff, they'll find games with the people that are okay with having NPCs bully them for the race they chose, having NPCs or other players sexually assault them for story, people that are okay with the blatant awful stereotypes of races and like fictional races that very directly reflect stereotypes of real world races, and making a fantasy world where things are ruthless and awful and there's no good rep or any of that stuff. If we stick around, when I see somebody new that wants to play D&D, if I'm still playing it or if I'm still making content, if they look up D&D on YouTube and they come to my channel and they see a podcast and they listen to it, they get to see and hear and understand at the beginning of every podcast, here's what was changed and here's why. There's lots of disabled rep, there's going to be lots of queer rep, there's going to be lots of problematic tropes and stereotypes and generally just awful things removed and understood and fixed. And that's why I'm going to keep doing D&Ds, because I want to stick around so that when people new come in, they know that it can be a good thing, and they understand what wasn't great and what isn't great and how it can be fixed. So, long end of the short, I don't know what that means. Screw Wizards of the Coast. As a company, they will not be receiving any sort of financial support from me, basically until they fix their shit, which doesn't seem 100% likely. If they fix their content, great. Fix your company, and then maybe they'll give you money. I have lots of minis to paint. I have lots of modules and stuff that I've already adjusted. That stuff will be played. It'll be new for the channel, but not new for me. But nothing new will be coming from them for the foreseeable future. But D&D will be sticking around with the express purpose of showing how good it can be and pointing out all of its flaws so that people who are new to the community don't get sucked into the groups with the really shitty people and have pleasant experiences. That being said, another real quick thing to address, with the advent of not giving Wizards any financial support, whether for D&D or Magic or whatever, that money is now going to be going towards independent creators, because it should. Now, a lot of the stuff I do, and I'm going to be buying and making videos for, is going to be solitaire games, or games that you can play by yourself. Mostly because I have lots of friends that I love very dearly and love doing stuff with. Not a whole bunch of them are super privy to tabletop. And I can try, but I don't know how many people will bite. So that's something you can look forward to. There's going to be lots of new content coming out on this channel, hopefully soon, with stuff from the Racial Justice and Equity Bundle from itch.io with a whole bunch of awesome tabletop content. There's going to be stuff from MX Quinn, Takuma Okada, so many great designers, so many great games. I am going to be a little selfish and start with my own. It's not finished. It's kind of almost there. It's in playtest. It's on itch. I'll play it, put it up. People can go play it. But yeah. Sorry if this video is all over the place. I'm kind of not back into the swing of making videos yet. So, if you've stuck it out this long, thank you. I'll leave everything linked in the description. I appreciate you all sticking around, and I hope you understand this decision and make a similar one yourself. If not, you have your own life, you have your own reasons, but I hope you come through on this one with me. Thank you very much. Bye-bye now.